Hello and welcome to Dice Jesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And we are a merry and whimsical board game podcast where we dive deep into games with curious minds and a jester's grin. We feature 10 by 10 challenges where each season we commit to playing 10 games at least 10 times, sometimes more. And today we'll be featuring a Jester's Gambit deep dive into the game Wyrmspan.
And if you're unfamiliar with what a Jester's Gambit is, this is your first time listening, we have feature episodes where we capture our first experience seeing the game on the table before we play it the first time. And then we come back and we talk about our first impressions learning the game together and what that experience was like. And then we go back and play the game at least 9 more times. And then we come back for a full recap discussion of what our experience was like playing the game at least 10 times, some of the highs, some of the lows, how our perception evolved over that period of time, what stood out to us, some of our favorite moments and all that stuff, to really give you an idea for what it's like to deep dive into a game over the span of multiple plays and capture that journey, because we love playing games together, and part of it is just capturing the experience of playing the game with somebody else so many times, which is a lot of fun.
Yes. And to start off this first little section, I like to go into just kind of what aspects I like that stand out to me in this first part,
Just with it sitting on the table.
Yeah, just with it sitting on the table, because we have season 1 where every single game you brought out, I'm like, it's cute, art's great, I love, And then we have season 2 where I start to develop a palette of, yeah, there you go, where I understand that maybe if the art's not the greatest, that doesn't mean that the game's not the greatest. Just like you should never judge a book by its cover, but it happens, we're all human. And then by season 3 I just stopped looking at the art completely.
You're like, the more boring the game looks, the better it is.
But I still do really appreciate art, just because I myself am somewhat an artist. I say somewhat just because I haven't drawn it a bit, but I've been creating other things like photography and stuff. We've been doing that,
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at our page, the photos have been taken more with purpose as opposed to let's take a photo of it,
try to make it look a little bit nicer. Up our game a little bit,
right? We still do our gameplay photos too, though, so don't worry, you'll still see those live action. They're not live action because they're a photo, but those photo-esque games. And so let's get into Wyrmspan. For those of you who are just joining us, in season 2 we had covered Wyrmspan, and it had started this whole thing between Dave and I and a few other people, because some people will joke with me and send messages or pictures and stuff, but it started this whole thing about birds. So with the Wyrmspan, it covered various birds, species.
So many birds.
Gave information and everything, and Dave found out a lot of information about me through that game. So that's another aspect that we enjoy about playing games, is that we get to learn about one another, even
just
if it's
when I
something
think
quirky.
I know everything. I'm like, where did you develop all this highly specific knowledge about animals through personal encounters? And then I come to find out that you were this pseudo zoo intern.
Pseudo. I thought you were going to be like the pseudo bird mom with that one bird, bird.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so if you want to find out more about that and where it all started, that would be season 2, the Wyrmspan episode. But maybe with this one, maybe we'll become like the dragon mom.
the dragon.
So just looking at the game to start off with, there was a few things that I had noticed about it. Just to give a little description of what it is that I'm looking at, there is this, you each get a player's mat. It has 3 sections similar to Wyrmspan, and the top is kind of like, it looks like you're building a cave, right?
Right.
Because you have this dragon head and then it's skeleton. And then there's this middle portion and this bottom portion. And the eggs are slightly different color from Wyrmspan. Honestly, the art in general does look different than Wyrmspan. I don't know.
It's a different artist.
Okay, yeah. It's a different artist. It looks a little bit more watercolor-esque, which I personally think goes well with the theme because it's a little bit more fantasy. So having that more fluid art really emphasizes hey, this is fantasy. You're not going out into the woods looking for birds or going into these different habitats looking for birds. You're looking for dragons.
Yeah, it has a really cool watercolor type art look, which I really think is beautiful. So the art is by Clementine Compardo. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
No, Okay. So then I haven't looked at all the cards or anything yet, but I'm sure I will as we go through our 10 games. But something stood out to me. There was an axolotl dragon, I think, on the box. I forgot where I saw it. I saw it somewhere, maybe on the rule book that you had sitting there. But there's an axolotl.
I think it was the rule book. Oh, there's this whole book about the dragons. So all of the dragons have a little backstory in this
so cute.
supplemental book that comes with it with information about them and everything. And I thought that was cool. I always love when games have an additional touch of something that's not necessary to the game itself, mechanism-wise, or understanding how to play the game, but helps you get immersed into the theme.
I love that. Didn't Jamie and Vantage make a card template that you could add not your cat if you don't have a cat, but you can add your animal?
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, we could add Lupin. I can add wings to Lulu. I have bat wings for Lupin.
I would say out of all the games that we've set up on the table, Lupin has been the most intrigued by Wyrmspan out of any game I've ever seen.
Okay, I think that's because he has, he's going to the vet soon. So I've been monitoring his eating, and he's just been a little crabby. I think that's why he's been on the table, because he knows that one of us will get up.
Which one do you think he expects to get up by getting on the table?
Me, because he knows that. Yeah, like in the morning time when the alarm goes off, he doesn't bother me. He's like, "Oh, you get up for the alarm."
It's always me.
Julie's gonna sleep. Yeah.
It's always me.
But when it comes to the game and losing pieces, I personally know that if any piece were to get lost, that it would bother you. And because, I just adore the world out of you, I don't want to bother you, even though I love my precious little kitty. I just don't want him to get in trouble. Not that you would ever get him in trouble, but I don't want to feel bad if he were to lose something. So he knows that by jumping up on there, I would get off. That's how he knows. As soon as I flip my blanket from wherever I'm sitting, he's like, "Oh, she's about to get up." That's when he jumps off the table, because he's like, "She's coming."
It's like the sound when you're a kid and you hear the parents stomping down the hallway. You're like, "Oh, everybody clean up the room," or act like you're not doing anything.
They're like, "Oh no, they're coming." It's like, oh, but that one parent does the same thing, but it's just like, different thing. So there's that. And then the main item that I noticed that was different from just a visual aspect, is that there's no dice tower. So is this not a dice? Because Wyrmspan had the dice that you would use.
It did have the resource dice that you throw into the bird.
Mm-hmm. Bird
feeder, yeah.
Or I think it was a bird house.
I think the bird feeder was my favorite part of the game, honestly. I love throwing them in the back. And anyway, hearing the dice jumble down the dice tower, this game does not have any dice.
Okay.
So in terms of collecting resources, I think that is done through exploring the different caves where your dragons are, or laying dragons down give you resources. So maybe a little bit less luck in this game, although it's a card-driven game, so there's a lot of cards in the game that you draw.
Okay. Yeah, our friend Michael had said that this would be probably a game that you and I enjoy. Yes. Because he had listened to our Wyrmspan episode, and he said, "Hey, you guys should give Wyrmspan a chance because it fixes some of the feedback that you had given." And so I'm excited.
And it was so long ago that we played so long. It was like a year ago, but we've played a lot of games since then. So I can't specifically remember off the top of my head everything that we said of things that we wish were slightly different within Wyrmspan, not to make it a better game, but to make it more suitable to our
taste,
palette.
our palette.
Yeah. And this game was recommended to us as, "Hey, you guys should check this out," because if there were aspects of Wyrmspan that you liked but wish were slightly differently, this could be a version that you like more. So that's why we wanted to give it a try. And I love the dragon theme. You and I both love fantasy and dragons and all that. So
I love that we keep saying fantasy with this, right? Because I do firmly believe that there's dragons. Dragons are real. Beta fish, they're kind of like dragons. Komodo dragons, that's like a land dragon.
I'm technically a dragon in
terms you're a dragon in your zodiac. Yeah, you really encompass the dragon.
How so?
Yes. Anywho, so yeah, I'm really excited to get into our first round of this. And then again, if you're new, what we do is we play the first round and then we come and say kind of like how it went. So that is what we'll be doing shortly.
So I'll be teaching you the game, which I think that just having read through the rules once, I don't think that you'll really, maybe a slight rules refresher from a Wyrmspan perspective, but I think the games are similar enough where you can just jump in and start playing this and figure it out as you go and kind of self-explore and discover, if you will.
Okay. I'm excited for that. So
Let's get into it.
I know, I can't wait to find my little
Let's
baby
go flap our
dragons.
wings and soar high.
Spread our wings.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm bad at metaphors.
You're okay. You're really good at metaphors. Don't worry. All right, so let's get into it. And we are back after our first initial play of Wyrmspan. So, Dave, what are your thoughts? I'm going to do a little reverse Uno on you and get your thoughts first.
Usually I feel mentally prepared to have some time to listen to your thoughts before I get mine out. But
I mean, I'll start. That's fine. We can just keep to, our normal routine. But
stick to the routine.
Stick to the routine. Don't switch it up. So to start off, there are definite differences from Wingspan and Wyrmspan, and one of those is that the resources aren't as randomized.
True.
So you do collect resources, but during that resource collection, you do get to choose which ones you would like to obtain, and in doing so, you can lay out certain dragons a lot easier. And I do like that ability as opposed to the random of it, just because I am more of a strategic player. So being able to pick what resources I get and or find a way to obtain those more easily as opposed to allowing the dice tower to choose, it makes it, I don't know, it makes it more enjoyable on my part, because I'm not sitting there stuck with a bunch of worms and I'm like, oh, nice. Worms. I don't need worms.
Yeah, when we were playing it, I said before that I didn't quite remember everything that in terms of Wingspan and things that we wish were slightly different, but that was one thing that really stood out to me was when we played that, we felt like there was a lot outside of your control, and you'd be stuck in situations where you had a ton of worms and you needed something else. And I know you can exchange resources in that game, but with the roll of the dice, that would often influence things. And it was just a little bit too random. But I did like in this game how you had the ability to pick which one. And it just felt like just after one play, it felt like there's a lot more in your control. And I was able to do what I wanted to do, or find a way to do that, between the abilities on the Explorer side or the little rondelle thing you can move around the Dragon Guild. But do you want to take a stab at trying to explain? Let's assume somebody hasn't played Wingspan. What do you want to try to explain Wyrmspan and what you do in the game?
Yeah. So, well, not yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be a good one to explain this. Just like I wouldn't be a good one to explain Wingspan, because I don't understand how to explain the moves. I just know what to do, if that makes sense.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, because you actually explain it while I'm going to say thingy and this and that thingy way too often to be understandable.
Yeah, so Wyrmspan is a tableau building, engine building, resource management game. I think that's a good way to capture it.
Okay.
Where you play the role of, I think dracologists is the correct terminology, and you're trying to get dragons into your cave, or you have 3 caves. And when you put dragons in your cave, it either gives you an ongoing ability, it gives you a one-time bonus when you play it down, or it gives you an end game scoring bonus as well for different dragons that you have in your cave. So the main cadence of the game is it plays over 4 rounds, and on your turn you have these action coins, and there are 3 different actions you can do. One is entice a dragon into your cave. So you have to have an open spot, meaning that there's a cave that's excavated and ready for the dragon. And then when you play it into your cave, you pay a cost of 1 coin, and then any resources on the card that are a requirement, and then it just has to have an open spot. Each dragon has a different type of cave that it will go into. And so you have 3 caves in the game. So there's a top, middle, and bottom. And so that's that action. And then there's the excavation action. So you have these cave cards as well. And to play a cave card, you have to have an open spot. So you play it to the leftmost available spot in that row. When you play a cave card, it gives you a one-time bonus as well. You have to pay either 1 or 2 eggs if it's going on the right 2 slots in your board. And then there's the explore action. And the way that works is you have this little worker and you'll move it down the row. And whenever it reaches an explore icon, you'll get a bonus. It could be resources, it could be additional cards, it can be sometimes an action coin. It can be a variety of things. So that's how you get stuff throughout the game. And it kind of ramps up toward the end. You have 6 actions basically you can do in a round with those coins. But toward the end, you're getting all these bonuses. You're getting
more actions.
More actions. And then in between rounds, there are scoring objectives that you do for having the most of something. Whether it's types of dragons in your cave, whether it's eggs on your board. And eggs you get from a variety of sources, but they'll go on your dragon cards and they're worth points at the end of the game, but you have to use them to pay for things as well. That's the main gist of the game. There's some other aspects within it, but did I do a pretty good job at explaining it?
You did, yeah. That's a lot better than how I would have explained it.
And there's also some endgame scoring bonuses that you can get from dragons, as well as the Dragon Guild is this little rondel thing that you move your piece around whenever you activate that ability. And the guild has these spots that you'll place tokens on that give you either one-time bonuses or endgame scoring points.
Yeah, so there's that. And I lost the first round, which is humbling. Okay. It's okay. I honestly thought I was winning with how I was obtaining all the end of round objectives. You know, I was like, oh, okay, I got this. I didn't realize that ignoring them was getting you more points elsewhere.
Yes.
So, you know, that happened. And so I'm excited to get into our 9 additional plays of it, just because I do feel that now that I'm not distracted by birds, that I can really get
Was that a distracting aspect for you?
It was so distracting to me. It was so distracting. You know it was distracting because every single time I was like, ah. Because lots of the birds are the birds that I have personal stories with.
A lot of them.
Up. Yeah. Like we were just on a walk before we had decided to do our first impressions and our first play. We went for a walk and there was a bird and I was like, there it is.
Oh, was the blue jay?
It wasn't a blue jay. Not all blue birds are blue jays.
Okay. Well, you said it doesn't make sense that it's blue, but also...
I was all like, who made a blue bird?
Why did they make a blue bird that lives in such a green environment? I said, who's they?
Like the Matrix.
The Matrix.
It just seems like it's not the greatest of like camouflage, you know?
I guess so. It's so funny. But I did enjoy our first play. I thought it was very easy to learn. And I know we've talked a lot about Wyrmspan, but I would say if you know Wyrmspan, you've played it before, this was a breeze to get through. I think we had to look at the rule book once, but it was very intuitive on what you're supposed to do. The turn flow, the rounds, everything. Mm-hmm. And a lot of information is either printed on the board or self-explanatory in the cards. There's no need to look rules up, and I always appreciate that when a game makes it that easy to learn.
And prior to playing, you said that I would understand a lot of the iconography. It was very straightforward and to the point.
Yeah, you just had a couple questions.
And that was just for laying it down. Mm-hmm. It wasn't more so what I gain or anything. It was, oh, now that I'm laying it here, does this mean that I have like 1 times 3 equals how many coins I get? And then it happened to be, oh, you can use 3 to get a coin, a dragon token.
Do you think that aspect of self-discovery within the game was a good learning method for you? Because I've been experimenting with different ways to teach you games.
I think for me, self-discovery really works because when I'm over-explain things, I tend to turn my brain off and just kind of start staring, you know? But when you just tell me how to move and then I move, if there is something that I am curious about and I ask, it's easier for me to retain that as opposed to just being given all the knowledge up front.
I remember a couple times toward the beginning or even halfway through the game, you were asking, oh, how do I get this? Oh, wait, if I go down here, I can see that this icon is down here. So now I understand how I'm supposed to get that. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it wasn't something I explained to you up front, but now you know how you get resources. Now you know how you get more cave cards.
Yeah.
Because you were wondering at the beginning how you get more cards, because you don't get a new hand of cards at the end of each round. You have to do that through actions. But if you just glance at the board and you find that icon, you know that's where you get it from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was pretty easy on figuring it out. And I am excited because I think that, yes, you got the first round. But do
you know what you'll do differently in the future? Do you know where you messed up?
Yes. I think I have an idea of where I messed up. And there's 2 different ways that I want to play. So I'm going to try one of the ways this next game coming up. And then I'm going to try the other way. If that way doesn't work, the following game. And then we'll see which one works. And then whenever you catch on to it, I'll switch it up again.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see that. A little bit terrified because I feel like this is a game I'm going to be good at. It's a tableau building game. I tend to do really well in those. But this game also has dragons in it. And anytime a game has cute artwork, you tend to do really well.
Yes. Especially when we get the music going and my brain gets overstimulated. I start like dancing and just going and you're just like, what are you doing?
And I'll be curious to time this too. Our learning round was maybe like 30 to 45 minutes with this game. Pretty quick. So it's going to be a pretty fast one. I feel like we'll get through these successive plays of it pretty rapidly. So let's jump back in. Played at least 9 more plays.
Times.
I
got you.
And then we'll come back and talk about our experience over that span of time.
Yeah.
Over that span of time. You see that?
Oh,
span
I see. Time span.
Ooh.
It's where you go like back in time. Oh my God. Here we go. Okay. If you're still listening and not skipping forward to the 9 plays.
Because this is where the meat and potatoes of the episode is.
Okay, time span. Okay, so the dragons, right? You got a little Yu-Gi-Oh mixed in that, okay? In Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a time wizard, okay? Love that time wizard. You can take the time wizard to age the dragons. So Wyrmspan has the dragon, the babylings. What are they called? Hatchlings. They have the hatchlings. Then you could somehow get time to make them adult dragons. And then the adult dragons give you certain things, but because it took you like 2 moves to use like a time machine to put them little dragons in, you get something different.
So wait, so you can manipulate time?
Yeah. That'd be a cool aspect.
Time as a resource?
Yeah, time as a resource. Maybe it's harder to achieve.
I have seen games that use that mechanism in some ways where, like Village is one that comes to mind, where you have these workers and they actually get older and then eventually they go into a graveyard somewhere. But they serve a lifespan.
Lifespan. Yeah. Lifespan. Oh my gosh.
I think that's a cool idea that each resource or each character that you introduce into the game isn't there forever. They serve a purpose for a certain period of time and you have to figure out how to maximize that time, you know?
Oh my gosh, that's what it could be. It could be like, because you know how they have different ones. They have fin span, they have wingspan, Wyrmspan.
It's a trilogy. I think this is the final, or Finspan was the final chapter in the trilogy, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they can have like, maybe they could just do something similar where it's with plants.
Plant span?
No. But plants need time, so that would be a way to have time into it. You know what? I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to come back.
You're onto something.
I see it.
Well, let's go play Wyrmspan for now.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that later.
Yes, and you have Venus flytraps. All right, yeah, we'll go play now. We'll go play. And we are back after our at least 9 plays. Well, after our full 10 plays, technically. But I say 9 additional plays, like at least, because Dave, how many total plays did we do, Wyrmspan?
We did 12.
And did we do 12 just so you could finish on a high note?
I don't know. Yeah, we got to the point where you were winning so many consecutive games. And in the past, we've ended at 10, but I was like, you know what? It became like a push your luck sort of thing.
For you?
For me, because I just wanted to keep going to see if I could beat you. And then our final 12th play, I beat you. Right. It felt so good.
I was distracted by the corn dogs.
Oh, there was the corn dogs.
Yeah,
what kind of corn dogs?
It was the Korean corn dogs.
So good.
I wanted to go eat them.
So delicious. But yeah, this is the first game in our Jester's Gambit that we did decide to go beyond the 10. And it wasn't just because I wanted to beat you in this arbitrary competition. It's not so arbitrary. We're really trying to win each other. But it was also because I feel like we're really enjoying this game too.
Yeah, I'd say so. It was interesting because I would say maybe around the 5th or 6th game, technically like round of our 10, at least 10, I would thought about how you beat me, basically annihilated me in Wingspan. And here we're coming into Wyrmspan, and boom, boom, tables have turned.
Well, being another tableau building game, I came in thinking this is going to be a cakewalk. I've got this one. But what was it about this game? I just maybe start there because I'm not trying to gloat, but usually I do a lot better in the tableau builders. When you look at, I guess San Juan is pretty tight, but Wingspan, Race for the Galaxy, there have been some others, I think, where I just tend to do really well. What was it about this game that it just clicked with your brain?
Yeah, no, I thought I was going to come into this game losing as well because you're very good at tableau building games. But I must say, I do adapt, overcome, succeed. So I have gotten really good at watching what you do, and then I kind of mimic it, but then add little things to it, just like when we had discussed about chess. And honestly, we should just do a whole episode on chess. I know that maybe not everybody will be interested in it, but just more so for how the mind works on how I do things, I think would be fun. But I have noticed for tableau building games, you tend to trim all of the unnecessary items off, and you like to run more lean. So I kind of mimicked that. And then I was like, wait, but I like to run heavy. So I decided, okay, I'll be lean, but I'll be heavy in resources. So then anytime I had a dragon come up that I wanted to use, I was so heavy in resources, I could just play it right away. I didn't have to wait.
You're swimming in resources. Like, we're gloating about it. Like, oh man, I just have all these tokens.
So this is what I personally did to win the games. There was the action ones that allowed you to use an action every time you explored in that cavern, and that's what I would fill my caverns with. So if you notice the last round that we played of this game, I barely had those cards that had the extra actions on them, and I think that was my lowest scoring round. Usually I was in the hundreds, but this round, this final one, I was in like 71.
So you're saying because in previous rounds when you use those extra action cards, when you passed over them, that's how you won the game?
Yeah. So you know how you are with Dominion, and you have like the festival card, and then you're sitting there taking an hour. Right.
This felt like your Dominion.
Yeah, this was my Dominion. Because you were like, are you done yet? And I would say, no, I'm still going.
Your turns took forever, and I almost joked, like, I'm going to get up to go on a drive to the ocean and I'll be back while you finish your turn. It was even like the first round, and normally the game works where toward the end of the game, your turns the rounds tend to go longer because you're getting more bonuses. But there were some games that we played where you were able to pull that off in the first round, and I was like, how did you accomplish that? I don't know.
There was also, speaking of the ocean, driving out there, it kind of reminded me of when you would always say that I was interrupting your thought process, you know?
Yeah.
While you're doing your big long turns, because when I would have my long turns, you were like, pocket, 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 pocket full of sunshine. And I was just like, oh, damn.
Well, you always distract me with music by having really intense music. So I thought maybe I'll try to distract you by
singing
whenever a soundtrack, I'll sing all the songs incorrectly in a very obnoxious way.
And
then you also have your fidget toys that you play with while I'm taking my turn too. So this is just a way to get back at you, find a way to psychological warfare between us as we play these games. So after our first play, how would you say that your perception of it evolved over our whole 12 plays of the game?
Okay, in full transparency, I was a bit worried, thinking that I may not come out enjoying the game as much as I could have due to just kind of like the feedback and items that I had addressed in Wyrmspan. So I was a bit worried about it, but then after playing it, I was just like, okay, Michael's right. So Michael, if you're listening, here you have it.
You're right.
It's recorded. You're right. You can just replay this back. But he did say that I would enjoy Wyrmspan a lot more with the items that we had addressed in Wyrmspan were changed in Wyrmspan. So I would say that that is correct. I do enjoy Wyrmspan a lot. Honestly, even though we did play more than 10 rounds of it, I do feel that if you wanted to continue going, that I would be okay with it because it is a very quick game. But although it's a quick game, I did use my brain a lot to figure out how to get resources, or honestly, it could have been the wheel that really attracted me. Maybe I'm a rondelle person.
I think you're a rondelle person.
Because I was really going around that wheel quite often.
I think every single game that we played, you went around it faster than me.
Yes.
And you were able to get some of those bonuses before I could get to them.
Yes. Yeah, because the first round that we played, you went around it faster than me, and I had seen that some of them have only one square for those special bonuses, and I was a little bit jealous. I was like, oh no, he's never gonna get that from me again.
Some
and
of those
then
bonuses
I made sure.
were good too. Some of the end game scoring and stuff.
Or they would give you like an extra round too, or extra time token, and then or they would let you play a dragon for free, or they would give you resources. It was always something a little different.
That's what it is. That's what it is about this game. The reason why you were better than me is because I do well in pure tableau building games where there's nothing but the cards that you're playing. This had that little bit of extra something, the rondelle that went around, that you were able to really move up that and get some of those bonuses. And maybe that's why I'm just making excuses, but that's the only thing I can think of. Other than I think you've just gotten better at games than me at this point.
I think so, because, I overcome and adapt. I figure out what you do, and I just make it better.
Yeah, you know my play style and everything.
I do. I can mimic it.
It kind of ties back to chess, like we talked about that. When we first played chess together, you started psychoanalyzing the way that I played. And I think that that's carried forward to playing modern board games.
Yeah.
You tend to watch what I'm doing and figure out, you can anticipate how I'm going to approach a game, even if it's our first time playing it, based on knowing my personality and play style and everything like that. I can never predict what you're going to do. It's different for every game.
Because I'm chaotic. Well, there was that one game, speaking of just like those little analysis items, that we were teaching someone to play chess. It wasn't their first time. They have played chess multiple times, but they wanted to do where you rook the king. I don't know the terminology. Like
castle.
Rook
the king.
And I said, yeah, sure, I guess. So then we did it. And then you were watching, and this individual had taken my knight, I believe, and they began to kind of get a little ego about it. And I was just like, okay. So then, due to them having an ego, and I saw their play style, I allowed them to take all of my big hitters minus my 2 rooks. And I let them get me down to literally like 5 pieces while they had an army. And then they were like, I'm going to win. And then I smirked and I annihilated them.
Yeah. Well, I think you moved your pawn to the other side to promote to the queen. And then you had the queen and the 2 rooks and walked across. Yeah. Trapped the king in the corner.
And then I was just like, this was a lesson.
Yeah.
Just because you have more pieces doesn't make you a better player.
Wow. Well, life lessons from Julie right there. But
yeah, so I did enjoy this game because it allowed my mind specifically to work through scenarios, which I really enjoy because I overanalyze everything. Somebody trips and then I'm like, oh my gosh, should they trip because of the, and you're like, no, they just tripped, it's okay. And I'm like, but could it have been prevented? Or the whole, I just overanalyze things that are completely unnecessary. Like when the moon's red, I'm like, it's red. My coworker told me that every day working with me is a new adventure. She was like, everything you say is the most unique thing I have ever heard anybody say.
Yeah, I've never quite heard somebody phrase it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was all like, Dave tells me the same thing. He says every single day.
Every single board game we play together, every single journey we go on, from bird watching to taking on random road trips, I learn something new about you every day. Yeah. And I love the life lessons that you've taught me. So, but I really enjoyed this game too. I think what stood out to me was just how it is a very fast moving game. 2-player games took us, on average, I looked it up, 42 minutes. Nice, and that's a pretty quick moving game. But I loved that it allowed you to get some cool bonuses that made you feel smart. Like I love that when I can get cards that work really well together, along with the end game scoring opportunities that you have. But it was just enough thinkiness where I have a card in my hand and I have to decide if I'm going to play it or, use it to tuck under another card or something else, where you're thinking about what cards you want to get out. Do I want the cards that give me the actions that I can use when I explore the cave? Or do I want endgame scoring? Or, there's different ways that you can look at it. And then do I want to fill up a single row so I can get some really cool bonuses every time I explore that cave? Or do I want to spread even and that's typically what I would do, is I would try to get the same amount in each so that when I would go exploring a cave, I would at least get one of those movements up the Dragon Guild. Because I felt like it was a wasted turn to explore a cave just to get a resource or a card or a cave card. Exactly. So I love that. And then I also love that it had the extra layer of needing to excavate a cave before you could play a dragon into it. And that the caves themselves, those cave cards, would give you cool bonuses. So it was like, what cave card do I want to get to excavate my cave so I can get the bonus that I need to then be able to play a dragon card into that cave? And is it giving me the right things that I need? So it was just fun. It was just a really fun, enjoyable game, I felt like.
No, I love when you can take a turn that doesn't feel wasted.
Yeah.
That's one of my big things is anytime I take a turn where it just feels like taking a turn to take a turn, I don't like that. But in this game, you could take turns that felt good. One piece that kind of, because you know how I am, I love restrictive nature of things.
Yes.
So this game, I felt was, if I rated it like extreme restrictive to restrictive and then to not restrictive, I would say that it's kind of in the middle due to having 6 time tokens. I do believe that that is a good restriction for most people, but for my playstyle specifically, I think I would have to think just a little harder if it would have been 5 time tokens, because you could still earn the time tokens. But I did notice that in the first rounds when we were playing the game, because there's 4 rounds in each game.
Correct.
And so between the first and second round of the game, I noticed that I would have a time token left over because I really wouldn't need that 6th token. And then I would go in 7, and then by the end of the game, I would have like 8. So then I would just keep going after you were done, you know? So I feel that 5 would be a good number for individuals who do like it restrictive. And honestly, if you prefer very restrictive like I do, you could just not start with 6.
There you go.
You could house rules, if you want to impose a restriction. Because I do feel that with 5, it makes you think more, you know? Like, because you have only 5 to use. With the 6, it allows you the cushion of, oh, I made a mistake. I can fix it with the 6th one.
That's true. And there were some rounds where I felt like, okay, I did my 5 actions. I have 1 more. There's nothing I really need to do, but I'm just going to explore a cave and get some bonuses.
Yep.
And I agree with what you're saying. If it were 1 less, but then you had to do something creative to get that 6th one.
Yeah.
I think that like any round where I could get a bonus action, I would always love that. When you filled in the last column of the cave, or when you moved to the Dragon Guild and got that bonus one, or there's some cave cards that give you a bonus one back. So it was as if it were a free action. I always loved when I could make a round go on longer than it should have, like beyond those initial 6 actions. I was like, yes, I did it. Yep. I went 7 or even 8 actions, and that was amazing. And that's what I loved about the game. But I do agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, but overall restrictiveness, I do feel that getting eggs, that one was really nice because it made me decide turns for certain eggs, you know, to get an egg. So I had to go, okay, do I want another time token or do I want an egg? Like, what do I want to, I always said excavate. It's not excavate. Is it excavate?
Yeah, no, it isn't. You said, no, what you would say
is evacuate.
Evacuate. I'm going to evacuate.
Evacuate the cave. I'm evacuating the crystals.
Oh.
You know, because there's like an amethyst, there's a crimson. I'm evacuating the crystals from the cave to make a hole. So there you go. But yeah, so you could kind of choose, okay, do I want to have an egg or do I want to have a resource or do I want a time? So I enjoy that aspect as well. Honestly, the game's tight. Like it looks as if they took items from Wyrmspan and then they wanted to make kind of more of a, I don't know what to call it, like a more a more competitive. I can't word today.
I feel like this one's a little bit more made for gamers.
Yeah,
like the gamer demographic.
Yeah.
I do think that you could teach this to just about anybody, but I would probably recommend if you're playing with somebody who doesn't play a lot of board games or has never played a board game, Wyrmspan would be a better fit, I think.
I think so
it's
too.
It's a little bit less to keep track of in your head.
Yeah. And the other item that I really appreciated too, just because someday when you and I design a board game, we're going to hide something. We're going to hide like a Euro game behind my cute art, or maybe there's somebody's art.
Deceiving.
It'll be so deceiving. So I enjoy.
It'll have that Julie cute art, but then it'll be super
like vicious,
restrictive, but also competitive and interactive Euro game.
Right.
I think we've got it.
Yes, I would love that, and I really appreciate that about this game is that it had like the cute, whimsical fantasy art.
Oh yeah, what did you think about the art?
I liked the art. There were some dragons that I was like, ooh, this dragon, it looks like a kitty. And then there was this other dragon that I was looking at, and it kind of had dragonfly vibes. There was another one that was an axolotl. And then there was one that they were all like animals. So if you look at the dragons, like really look at them, they have real life animal characteristics.
Okay.
With like dragon features. Because
Yeah.
if I had the cards in front of me, I could be like, oh, this one's this one's this, this one's this. I think there was like a tiger.
kitty-looking ones.
Yeah, there was kitty ones. The Lumians. There was one that looked like Haku if you are a Studio Ghibli fan from Spirited Away. So I loved that. Yeah, the art was nice. I like the art. I like the caves the most though. Specifically the Crimson Cave. That was the top one with the dragon head.
I love the names of the caves too, because they all started. It was like
they all were like it was like Golden Grotto, and then it was Crimson Cave, and then it was Amethyst, right? It was Amethyst something.
Yeah.
Maybe Amethyst Adventure. I don't know. There's 2 A words. But the Dragon Skull Cave, it reminded me of one of my favorite movies that almost nobody ever hears of, but it is the one, oh my gosh, I love this movie, and I'm drawing it. Anytime, we sit down to record, it's like words no longer exist.
Sounds like a memorable movie.
It is a memorable movie. Okay, there's these like 2 dragons, and there's this girl, and she has this like house in the middle of nowhere, and then there's this like blind guy. He's super cool, sings, and like stuff like that, and he has a stick. It's a great movie. You know what? I don't know. I'll look it up for the next episode. I'm not going to waste 20 minutes describing this movie. Yeah. If y'all know it, put it in the comments.
But as we were playing the game, I love that whenever we do these deep dive discussions for the Jester's Gambit, that we always kind of have not criticisms, but feedback for if we were to design this game for us, like our play style, we would have tweaked these things. And you had like one of those. I honestly couldn't think of anything for this game. It's just everything about the game feels necessary to the experience, and there isn't anything extra. It feels like it was really well play tested and just the perfect amount of everything that I want in a game. So I couldn't think of any constructive criticisms. It's
just feedback. It doesn't have to be negative. We never say negative in our work environment. Yeah, so that's all I had was just maybe 5 time tokens as opposed to 6. So maybe you and I, because we have the game, so we can go test it and see and maybe report back on that. That'd be an interesting report back. That'd be like our first time testing one of our feedbacks to see how it went.
Sounds like a good time.
So yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for playing Wyrmspan with me. I'm excited to bring this one back out at some point in time. I know that we will. Well,
yeah, are you gonna ask me? Where's your?
I'm making all kinds of assumptions here. So I'll officially ask.
You're gonna pop the question.
Will this game, Wyrmspan, be crowned by the court's laughter and bestowed upon the jester's shelf, or given a fond farewell with trumpets and tumbles?
It will be bestowed on the jester's shelf, and I'm sure Lulu will be extremely ecstatic to hear that we'll keep it.
Oh yeah, because this was his favorite game.
Oh my god, he would not stay off this game.
I know I mentioned that after our first thoughts, I think, but ever since then, he's been jumping up, not only when we're playing the game, but I just see him getting on the table periodically, because we just leave the game set up as we play over the span of many days. And he's been really interested in this game.
Extremely interested.
He likes the eggs, it seems like.
I think he's
trying to hatch a dragon egg.
I think he likes anything he can like hit off that makes a noise.
True. Yeah, he's been knocking the cubes on the ground. And
like the wooden components is what he likes the noise of the most, because none of the cards or anything else has fallen other than the wooden components. So, yeah. So huzzah to the Jester's
Bless
shelf.
the shelf. Bless the shelf.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Be sure to join us next week. If you would like to see my sporadic Julie Jambles, feel free to go over to our Patreon. Our Patreon's Dice Jesters. There's more than just me talking about random things, but I mean, if you like my random side paths, you can go there. If you want to hear Dave's point of view of these games that we play, you can find them over there on our Patreon. Otherwise, we're also on Instagram. Instagram is Dice Jesters. We're also on YouTube as well. Our YouTube is Dice Jesters too. And if you want to email us for any reason, okay, maybe not any reason. If you want to email us for game questions, game recommendations, just to say hey, feel free to email us at thedicejesters@gmail.com. We'll also have that info in the episode description. And, as always, play games with the ones you love.